Welcome back, everyone. It is so exciting. You can hear the noise, you can hear the energy. Where are we? Well, we're at CHIROTHON MAC, and we cannot be more thankful for you to be joining us. So, what do we have planned? As you saw in the first segment when we had the fabulous Dr. Krista Burns, we are raising money. We are raising money to ensure that Michigonians across the state have the understanding, the solution that is first line. What does that mean? That first line approach is a drug-free approach, and there's no better solution than to have chiropractic care. So we're going to be raising money. We're going to have a lot of fun. CHIROTHON MAC is all about celebrating, elevating, and educating you. So whether you're a chiropractor, whether you're a patient, or maybe you're just looking to find out what is this chiropractic thing all about, then you're in the right spot. If you have friends or family, bring them in. Listen, we're going to be live streaming all weekend long. And what are we going to be live streaming? Right now, we're going to be talking about women's health. And we have this sponsor that has graciously brought in his time, his talent, and his treasures for us, Infinity. So we thank Infinity. Infinity is our national leader with partnerships in many chiropractic associations with a mission to make submitting claims easier. So for all those chiropractors out there, Infinity is supporting CHIROTHON. Unlike the other payer-sponsored fees where they either give away free sponsorship or payments, this is a provider payment. And one piece of this is the sole analytical advocate for the Chiropractic Future Strategy Plan, which is developing a profession-owned data repository for both chiropractic research and future outcomes. We're here right now, and we have our next fabulous guest. And remember, this is about donating. So if you have the opportunity to donate, f4cp.org/MAC, and our 5 top donors are going to receive a signed copy of our next guest book, which is called Positively Altered: Finding Happiness in the Bottom of a Chemo Bag. So our next wonderful guest is Dr. Cindy. Dr. Cindy Howard is a board-certified internist as well as a nutritionist. I would have to tell you that she has a ton of fun, but one of the biggest pieces that she does do, and she does it well, is make sure her patients are having the best outcomes possible. And as we know, she's not only an author, a chiropractor, she's a mother of 3 fabulous children. And we have a lot of things going on, but Dr. Cindy has made it real. She's brought it right down to raw. And she's had some tough times. And many of you have had some tough times. So this book is for you. If you're sitting out there thinking, I really just don't have the gumption, I just feel drained. You know, Dr. Cindy's been there. She's been through cancer, she's been through divorce, and then helping her parents through terminal illness. I want to call out that book to you right now. It's a great read, and we want to really pull the information from Dr. Cindy Howard right now. So first and foremost, welcome to CHIROTHON.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. This is such a great event.
And one piece, Dr. Cindy, is you're a nutritionist. And we all know our gut matters. So we're going to get to the gut of the matter, and that is where you are. Can you tell our audience a little bit about what is your thing about the gut, and why does it really matter to those that are listening right now?
Yeah, great question. It matters because we all have one. right? So since we all have one, we need to talk about it and figure out how to make it as healthy as we can be. And when we talk about the gut, you're really looking at the entire gastrointestinal system. So it's from the food you put into your mouth all the way to what comes out, the opposite ends. That's really, really important. And we carry a lot of our immunity in our gut. So there's a philosophy which really holds true, and we see it in clinical practice all the time, that if the gut isn't healthy, we're not healthy. So if we don't focus there, we're really going to struggle through a lot of our health challenges.
Focusing on the gut and the nutrition. Many of us probably have those moments through working through the pandemic where they didn't really care what they put in their mouths. And they're trying to pull themselves out of this kind of disaster that maybe we got into a habit of. Tell our audience a little bit, how does chiropractic and gut health come together?
Yeah, well, again, everybody should have a chiropractor, right? And we all have that gut. So, that's the funny answer. But really, it does go back to what you just mentioned, and we have to start paying attention to what we put into our mouths. And there's a mantra I love where I talk about food versus manufactured product. So food is anything that you can pull off a tree, pull off a vine, grow in the ground, fish for, slaughter, forgive how brutal that sounds. That is food. Where manufactured product is filled with chemicals and additives and can live in a box until 2 years from now without going bad. So it starts there, right? And if you look at the way we address the human body, and we look at it chemically and metabolically, when we're in a much better nutrition state, we actually hold the work that we do as chiropractors much better as well then too. So if we want to be physically well, we need to be metabolically well in order to adapt and respond to that particular care. So in my world, they go hand in hand. Chiropractic care, really great nutrition, and then exponentially, the results are phenomenal.
It does make good sense. And many of us struggle with what goes in our mouth if we get stressed. Stress plays its own cortisol role and may or may not help us out the other end. All right?
Right.
So I noted in your book, Positively Altered, Finding Happiness in the Chemo Bag. We're going to go there, but just a moment. In that book, you had something called the poop rules.
The poop rules. Yeah, there's some basic things that we really need to follow, right? In terms of looking at that, and we can do that ourselves. We don't even need another doctor to help us, right? So are we moving bowels 1 to 3 times a day? Does it feel like we're actually emptying when we go? Because you should be able to eliminate everything that you need. When I walk past, will I know that you actually had a bowel movement? Because I shouldn't. There should be no strong odor. Are you seeing some of that undigested food showing up in the fecal material that probably should have been processed somewhere earlier along the way? And there's all these different things that I talk about, even though it's a memoir of my walk through cancer, how important gut health, nutrition, the food we eat, and a whole laundry list of other things are in order to overcome some of these obstacles. And whether you're overcoming something or you just want to stay healthy, both are equally important.
Stay healthy is a critical component to everyone's life. They need to have that momentum to push themselves into doing a little bit more. And you do a lot more. You go out and you talk quite a bit about nutrition. And I know you have some very special people that you'd like to give accolades to. Who would those be?
I do. So Protocol for Life Balance is a nutraceutical company that is near my hometown of Chicago, and it's family owned, and they're just wonderful human beings to work with, and not only just great people, but also putting out a really good quality product. And that's super important too to everybody out there, because when we talk about nutrition, there's lots of choices, especially on the shelves, and you want to make sure you're getting excellent quality, something that's really in there, something that's going to do the job we claim it to do, and you want to make sure that you're building those relationships with your physicians and the companies that they use in order to really accomplish that goal.
Beautiful. Life Chiropractic, tell me a little bit about that. That's part of your nutrition and where you have gone from. So how has that been kind of influential in your life?
Well, it's interesting. It's a fallback, right? And it's one of those things you always come back to say, look, if I'm going to get back to basics in order to stay healthy, chiropractic has to be the basis for that, in my opinion. When I started my journey, I would have told you I was well. And even through the journey, I would tell you I wasn't sick, which freaks a lot of people out because when you hear the big, scary word of cancer, you think sick. But one of the reasons I was not sick through that process and did so beautifully was really going back to that home base of chiropractic care. And when you get adjusted regularly, when you get evaluated, when you keep up with the maintenance of that, everything else works better.
So for those that are listening right now, we have 5 signed books from Dr. Cindy. And you're going to learn a lot while you go through there. And now I want to ask with Dr. Cindy, if you donate f4cp.org/Mac, that book will be yours. How and why did you write the book?
So 9 years ago, I walked through this journey of Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I actually self-diagnosed, which is a very interesting sort of surreal experience because I didn't have that doctor across the table telling me what was going on and what the plan was. I had to formulate that really myself. And I kept a diary or a journal, which I've always done over the years anyway. I've always found that writing, it was a good way to share emotion and work some things out. And once I was done with the journey where I had that last treatment and got the, woohoo, you're done, you're done, right? I thought to myself, there's some really great information and stories in here that really can be shared and be very beneficial. So the whole purpose was to, as cliche as it sounds, let everybody know that there are really cool ways to walk through some of the adversity that we face. And it's okay, right? It's okay because it's coming. So, sharing that was very beneficial to me. There was a lot of growth that I was able to experience. And now what I'm finding with the book out there is it's affording others the opportunity to find their path and walk their walk and grow as well.
This is a really good journey because I imagine being in that chemotherapy, as you put in your book, and kind of feeling the drain, that you're a very strong individual. And strength through honesty and integrity is one piece, but strength through finding your way out of a very difficult situation. And the book talks about how you bring yourself to see things differently. Mm-hmm. If you could kind of share, when you look at things differently, the things you look at start to change. How did your evolution of the change when you're writing the book? Where did it start and where did it end?
Yeah, so it really started with the language. And when I realized that I had cancer, and I changed that word because having or allows you to own it. Make sense, right? So if I have cancer, I now am owning the cancer. It's becoming part of me. And the language got changed through a very dear friend of mine that presented a different word. And she said to me, experience it, walk through it. And that started to resonate where I now ran down this rabbit hole of what do the words mean and how does that alter our perception to what we have to face in the world. And therefore, I walked through this. I did not have it. I did not own it. It was not part of me. It was a speed bump. And I got on the other side. And through that entire journey, and believe me, there were moments of sitting in the shower, crying, going, why, what did I do, right? Why do I deserve this? There are moments of those things. But giving that only enough power to last moments and then taking the power away from the negative and putting the power to the, I got this. This is something that, is given to me as an opportunity to learn things, to find the joy, to find the gifts, to look at the beauty. And there was enormous beauty through this, as wild as that sounds, right? Because it's a very scary thing for a lot of people. And I just changed the language. And that's what I would encourage everybody to do. It's funny. Chiropractic does something really wonderful. And what we do is if you look at the name of everybody's business, it's very positive, right? Though mine is Innovative Health and Wellness Center, right? Adjusting. We use these fabulous words, wellness, be great again. You know what cancer uses? Cancer, right? So if you look at chiropractic, there is not a company out there that says the broken back clinic, please come in, we would love to fix you, right? Everything has that positive spin. So if we could take what we do in chiropractic in such a positive message way and take it to all the other illnesses and challenges that we have in the world and put that positive spin, we'd probably walk through it a whole lot better.
Where would we be if we could start to educate patients that they don't have to be in chronic pain? In fact, Governor Whitmer signed on September 5th the proclamation noting September as Drug-Free Pain Management Awareness Month. And to me, a first-line approach should be a non-pharmacological approach.
Always.
And as you started to write the book and think through the past and all of the things you had to go through to get to that level, there is a moment of reflection of, I'm so glad I became a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. And I read that and I thought to myself, where would I be today if I had made a different choice? So choosing and embracing a drug-free lifestyle cannot be underestimated.
Everything I walked through outside of the choice to accept chemotherapy because it is curative for Hodgkin's lymphoma, everything else was a drugless choice. I refused all other medications. Everything else was based on my knowledge on what to do to overcome pain, to overcome fatigue, to overcome nausea. Everything else was in that realm of nutrition that got me through. And I'm grateful for that. And as a result, I was working through the entire experience. I didn't lose time. I felt great actually through the experience because of those gifts and the education that we have to do that. So, in our world, there's always that choice first. Part of the problem is the education. We need everybody out there to realize that there are those options, right? And they are absolutely worth exploring because the alternatives sometimes have alternatives that lead us down to more drugs and more detriment.
It is. It's one of the things that the CDC actually came out with for older adults is polypharmacy is a big problem. Mm-hmm. And polypharmacy means multiple drugs layered on top of each other. And oftentimes that can create its own unfortunate adverse event, meaning that one drug makes you fatigued, one makes you dizzy, and as you're starting to get older, we start to lose our balance. That's just a natural, unfortunate outcome of getting older. So when you match that with taking an opiate and you're having sincere pain, but you don't know if there's another way to get out of pain, and you add an opiate, we're now challenging that system. And it reminds me back to where you were, which is altered, positively altered. I know there's a better choice. There is a better way. For our listeners today, give them some takeaways from your book that really changed how you looked at the world.
Yeah, there's some big ones. The first one is build your tribe, right? And whether that's your friends and your family or your physicians, you've got to interview. You've got to find the right people. You have to allow those that support you, even if they don't always agree with your decisions, but support you into your world, and those people that just can't or don't, it's okay to let them go. That's number one, which I think is absolutely essential. So build your tribe. Number two is welcome the adversity. It's coming. Something is coming your way. We don't walk through our entire life without facing something that's challenging or difficult. So if we open our arms and we allow it in and we say, we got this, we are going to overcome, it becomes that much easier. Once you do that, figure out how to have some fun, right? Life is great when we can laugh and we can enjoy and we can giggle. Giggling's the same thing as laughing, right? But it's just so important to do those things because it helps us get through. After you do that, please don't apologize. Make your choices. Stick with them. Be who you are, not who everybody else wants you or expects you to be, because this is your journey and your walk. Take it, stand proud, do it your way, and at the end of the day, reflect, learn, decide if you made the right choices, because the beauty of this is if you didn't, you get to wake up tomorrow and try it again, and allow that personal growth in. And really, if you read all 34 stories and a couple postscripts, that's exactly what you're going to get from this book.
Inspiration, motivation, momentum to keep on a path that really is a more positive approach to your own well-being. And that's what Positively Altered is all about. And CHIROTHON is about elevating. It is about educating all of us. Better approaches are out there. First line approaches should be drug-free. If you're having neuromusculoskeletal pain, this is a solution for we want you to start thinking about what can I do differently. If you're a chiropractic patient already, you know there is a person out there, whether they're your colleague or your spouse, that may not be getting chiropractic care, and this might be the moment that they watch this vignette and they think to themselves, today's the day. I don't understand chiropractic all that much. That's okay. We'll bring you in. Foundation for Chiropractic Progress has one mission, and that's to educate on being able to increase the benefits in your life through the care that a chiropractor will give you. And it's quite extraordinary as we start to think through some of these adverse events that we have gone through in the past year. Well, Dr. Cindy, I want to thank you sincerely. Remember, this book could be yours if you donate today, frcp.org/MAC. It is with your help. And Dr. Cindy, who said, sometimes setbacks are set up for comebacks. And we want you to come back for our next segment as we start to roll through women's health. And we have some fabulous guests coming up. So please enjoy this fabulous CHIROTHON. We want to get you back here, share with your friends and family, and thank you, Dr. Cindy.
My
Sincerely.
pleasure. This is a gift.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today to discuss skin-to-skin care and best practices. My name is Kirsten Sonneville Douglas, and I'm an international board certified lactation.
Vignette coming up. It is the fabulous Kirsten Sonneville Douglas. She is a board certified lactation consultant. These are for the females out there. As mothers and as grandparents, oftentimes we forget some of the things that we did when we had children, but this is the time to really focus on the pregnancy portion of chiropractic. What does it mean? And Kirsten Sonneville Douglas is going to be sharing some insights, specializing in clinical management of breastfeeding. She is a former MAC, a Michigonian employee who served the chiropractic profession very, very well. She's on the public relations and marketing for MAC for several years. So we're going to turn it over to ask some questions from Kirsten Sonneville Douglas.
Thank you for joining me today to discuss skin-to-skin care and best practices. My name is Kirsten Sonneville Douglas, and I'm an international board certified lactation consultant. I'm the owner of Live Latch Love, and I have been providing in-home lactation support services for almost 9 years. I also work at a baby-friendly hospital in Oakland County. Now, my time with you today is brief, but I want to make sure we have 2 clear objectives. So by the end of the presentation, you'll have an understanding of why skin-to-skin care is important, as well as identifying the 9 stages that an infant goes through in the first hours after birth when placed skin-to-skin. You might hear these 9 stages referred to as the magical first hour or the golden first hour. So let's get started. Skin-to-skin contact is usually referred to the practice when a baby is dried and held directly on a mom's bare chest after birth. Both of them are covered with a warm blanket and left there for at least an hour or until the first feed is completed. Skin-to-skin contact helps a baby to transition to its new surroundings and stimulates the natural behavior for breastfeeding. Skin-to-skin contact can also take place anytime a baby needs comforting or calming and can help boost a mother's milk supply. There are many benefits to skin-to-skin care. It helps calm and reduce crying and stress levels in infants. It synchronizes their heart rate and breathing, helps them maintain their body temperature, and all of these helps them stabilize their glucose levels. It helps improve their quality of sleep, enhances immune system, stimulates digestion, as well as encourages breastfeeding and chest feeding behaviors. It will also help a mom relax, and studies have shown that it is reported to be a natural pain reliever for mom's pain and discomfort after deliveries. Moms who engage in skin-to-skin contact right after delivery are also shown to have reduced risks in postpartum hemorrhaging and postpartum depression. This is all thanks to the amazing hormone oxytocin. The first hours after birth are developmentally distinct time for babies. Research shows that there are short and long-term physical and psychological benefits when a baby is held skin to skin during this time. Now let's take a moment to discuss these 9 innate and observable newborn stages. The first stage is the birth cry. This is a distinct cry, and it occurs immediately after birth as the baby's lungs expand. The second stage is the relaxation stage. This is their recovery from birth. And during the relaxation stage, the newborn exhibits no mouth movements and the hands are relaxed. The baby is skin to skin to mother, and this is when they're usually covered with that warm blanket or towel. The third stage is the awakening stage and begins around 3 minutes after birth. The infant's eyes open and they show a response to the mother's voice. And during this stage, the newborn exhibits small movements of the mouth, head, and shoulders. The fourth stage is the activity stage and usually begins around 8 minutes after birth. During this stage, the newborn begins to make increased mouth and sucking movements as the rooting reflex becomes more obvious. At any point, the baby may rest. The baby may have periods of rest between any of the activities within the first hour or so after birth. The sixth stage is the crawling stage and usually begins about 35 minutes after birth. The infant will begin to make small movements of the arms, shoulders, and head, and as these movements increase, the baby will drop their knees and appear to move or crawl towards the breast. The baby approaches the breast during this stage with short periods of action that result in reaching the breast and nipple. Often, infants will rest once they have found the breast, and sometimes this can be mistaken as that the baby is not hungry or wanting to feed. The seventh stage is familiarization, and during this stage, it happens around 45 minutes after birth and could last for 20 minutes or more. During this stage, the newborn becomes acquainted with the mother by licking the nipple or touching and massaging the breasts. The familiarization should not be rushed, and we need to try to remain patient to allow a baby to work out how they're going to best attach themselves. The eighth stage is suckling, and during this stage, the newborn takes the nipple, self-attaches, and suckles. This early experience of learning how to breastfeed usually happens about an hour after birth. In the event that a mother has anesthesia during labor, it can take a little more time for that baby to complete the stages and begin suckling. And the final stage is sleep. The baby and sometimes the mom will fall into a restful sleep, making sure that that baby and mother are in a safe sleep environment. But babies will usually sleep for about at least an hour and a half to 2 hours after birth. So just to recap, all infants go through 9 observable newborn stages when placed skin to skin right after birth. Now, in the event that a mother is unable to do skin to skin care right after delivery, the partner should be asked and encouraged to do the skin to skin. We should also encourage partners to do skin to skin and encouraging the new families to take turns holding their baby skin to skin, as the baby will sleep better being held and will give the parents time and opportunity to rest and sleep. Skin to skin should be continued in the weeks after the baby's back home. Skin to skin care can help breastfeeding moms read their baby's hunger cues and encourage chest feeding behaviors. And whether a mom or a partner is doing skin to skin cuddling, it can also help calm and soothe their little ones and enhance their brain development in those early weeks. I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity to join you today. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. My contact information is on this slide. Have a pleasant day.
That was fantastic information, Kirsten. Thank you so much. Now, we're on a women's health moment right now, and we're going to keep that ball going. We're at CHIROTHON MAC. That's right, everybody. We're going to be going all weekend long. Listen, women's health is very important, but don't despair. We've got men's health coming up tomorrow. But one of the pieces that I really do want to talk to you about right now is women that have had some sincere challenges. And our next guest is, in fact, that. We have Dr. Cindy Schaff-Toll, and her story is very dramatic. And there's a lot of trauma, but there's a lot of inspiration and a lot of opportunity for growth. She comes with us as a mother, as a practitioner, and as a friend. And her life story that she's going to tell today may be, in fact, heart-rendering, but also remember one thing. There are, as Dr. Cindy noted, positively altered ways to look at moving forward in life. So with Dr. Cindy's story, she was a single mom of 7 children. And she needed to do some resurrection of her practice and her life after some very serious personal struggles, which we'll get into in just a moment. But I also want to recognize her for being a leader in the profession. She is not only a chiropractor, she is the founder of the Women Chiropractic Group, the WDCs, which has really inspired, engaged, and elevated the entire profession for women. It's not easy to be a practitioner and juggle all of those pieces, but I will tell you, Dr. Sheff has done it very, very well. She continues to learn, and she has a lot of support with her. In fact, she not only has her 7 children, she has 8 grandchildren and 22 chiropractors in her family. So there is something very special in the water in her family. So welcome, Dr. Cindy.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be able to share and help women understand how to overcome the challenges. You know, Dr. Sherry, every time I would hear someone talk about overcoming challenges in their life with health, a lot of times maybe they had a nanny or they had one child or maybe any of those, and it didn't relate so well to me. But I really, really had some things to overcome. And today I'd absolutely love to share with you how you can help yourself through that no matter what your level of challenge is. And I think it's going to be really helpful for you.
So having 7 children and being a single mom, let's start there, because that just makes my heart race a little as a mother of 2. That's like times 3 plus 1. So tell us, how did you get to the spot in your life where you're 7 children and a single mom?
So, and this was in the worst time, because in the Detroit area, we're based on the auto industry. And for those of you, of course, here, you know the auto industry was hitting the skids in 2006. And that's when I got my divorce from the from the father of my children. And I was left with nothing but a will to succeed and that mama bear spirit that said, those cubs are going to have everything they need. And I reared up and I thought to myself, there's no chance. I'm going to live like this. I'm going to allow this to fall apart. But what was going on at the same time is foreclosures, for those of you who were around in that time, the housing market, there was everything up for sale. There were houses in foreclosure. The banks were giving away houses. It was awful. There were no jobs. People were moving out of Michigan left and right. I had absolutely, I was watching chiropractors go out of business who were doing very well before that, and they weren't struggling. And here I am trying to take it over. But again, mamas, those of you who are mamas, that mama bear spirit will serve you in that point, and you just have to direct that attention to it. So I started out with that, and I determined that I was going to survive. And that really is one of the points. You have to decide that you're going to make this happen. You just have to decide. This is the big key. I can tell you every kind of any kind of stressor release, any kind of thing to help you, but if you do not decide in yourself that you are going to make the changes, it's not going to happen. So that is the big thing I tell women chiropractors and other women who are struggling, overcoming overwhelming odds. If you want to do it, you can do it and push through it. Yes.
It's so important to have the energy to push through and know that you have some really helpful people in your life that can help, that can make you take that next step. And being a mother of 7 children as a single mom, and then thinking back over that time, what were some of the focal points for you, and how do you become a caregiver for 7 yet care for yourself at the same time? Because you have to keep healthy, you have to keep the engine going to ensure that others around you, your children and your practice, can keep that momentum.
For sure. You know, I think the important thing is for you to look at caring for yourself as if you're caring for others. You really have to think about that. I want you to think about that. I want to say it again. It's so important. I want you to care for yourself as if you were caring for another person. So I took out time to do those things that I knew as a chiropractor that was helping all my patients, because it always counseled women, and that really served me well. You know, habits that you develop in your life, you don't even know how much you need them until something really horrible happened, like happened to me. And so I made sure I slept. I made sure I had enough time to sleep. And my house was not the most wonderful place as far as perfection. That didn't matter, because I needed to make sure that I could go from day to day, take care of the needs of everyone. And so that's the first one I would like you to really embrace. If you don't sleep well, you can't heal. You can do everything in the world, but if you don't sleep, you can't heal. Make sure that you go to sleep before midnight. Every hour before midnight is worth several after that. So if you're going to go to sleep, try to go to sleep before 10 o'clock at night if at all possible. You will absolutely be energized, your body will heal, and you'll have less things happen that's going to cause you not to be able to do what you need to do.
You know, adversity creates opportunity, and you told me earlier a little bit about those that sometimes they give too much and it takes a toll on them. Could you share a little bit about your family history?
Yes, my sister Linda, who was my best friend, she always dreamed of doing something for chiropractic. She wanted to bring it to the world, and she did. She ended up becoming the first licensed chiropractor on mainland China. Linda Atkinson, my sister, and she gave of herself and poured out of a cup too far. She went there and she picked up some viruses in the hospital in China that she was at. And in 2010, she just passed away. We had no idea. She had a little bit of things going on, but literally, she didn't do self-care. And this is why I'm so passionate. This amazing woman, not just my dear sister, but this woman that is changing the world, she passed away, and now we don't have her around to do that. So I'm telling you once more again, please, if you are caregiving for others or if you're under stress, this is the time to take care of yourself. It is not selfish.
I think it's important that our guests understand that, you know, when you adopt the chiropractic lifestyle, you're thinking about sleep.
Yes.
Your chiropractor is hopefully getting you well adjusted.
Yes.
And ensuring that we do talk about nutrition and health and stress management.
Yes.
And stress management is a big part, especially with 7 kids, and then running a practice, and then going through the grief and unfortunate outcomes that happened in your family. And the one piece that I come back to is time management. Every mother has these things in her head that she could do 5,000 things, but she can do it. Should she do it? Tell us what are your best strategies for time management?
Right here. No. I want you to say it after me. No.
No.
No is what you're supposed to do, because you have to carve that time out. Again, self-care is not selfish, not even at all. And it doesn't mean a bubble bath is necessarily. It means taking a good walk, sleeping, taking time to get a chiropractic adjustment, making sure you're eating healthy for yourself, you having a spiritual life, having a great circle of friends, doing all these things. But I have to tell you, here's my secret trick on how I really walk through it. And you want to hear it?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
When I was at my deepest thing, I looked at myself and I looked at my kids and I said, what is life going to be like in 5 years? If you have kids, that's pretty stunning. Life is dramatically different in 5 years. And that made me put everything in perspective, that you need to understand that this is just a moment in time. This is not forever, but you feel like it's just, right now, and it's not.
Dr. Cindy, that is a very powerful way of looking at things, because I do remember my grandmother saying when tragedy happens, this too shall pass. that we'll all be able to walk through it. And it does, when you take someone's hand and you walk through it together, it's so much more enlightening. And I recognize, and I have to give a shout out to Dr. Cindy's family, because she's going to be celebrating her birthday this weekend. So we are so grateful that you came to us. You didn't say no.
I didn't.
You brought forth the wisdom, and that's what WDC is all about, is bringing women together. The women that are out there that are listening right now, take the time to take care of you first. It's not selfish, it's critical. And that critical component is being able to look at your lifestyle right now, and as you said, for time management, where does 5 years lead you? What difference does that really make? Well, it makes a lot of difference when you're a teenager versus when you're 29 like you and I.
I know.
Right? So we want to have fun with our life. We want to be able to express ourselves. We want to have the time management and our own personal care. We're going to end with one last question, which I think really is a pivotal part. But before we end, I want to remind you that if you're donating and you're one of our top donators tonight, this backpack will be yours. f4cp.org/donate. The donations are coming in. Couldn't be more grateful to all of you for listening. This is the women's health segment. Men's health segment will be coming up. So make sure that if there's men in your life that you want to adopt more information to, or that might be needing a little bit of push in the right direction, because sometimes men, they don't tend to do the things in the caregiving that we need them to do. So make sure you bring them back. So before we end this segment, Dr. Cindy, I want to ask you, choosing health. What do you choose in terms of health for you, and why?
The first thing is chiropractic care for me. I've been under care since I was a brand new baby.
Brand new baby.
And literally my first word was chiropractic, because my dad went to chiropractic college and the students thought that was funny to teach me that word. But I'm telling you, if you have never been adjusted as a child, you do not understand the change that happens within you immediately. And I'm telling you, if you do all the wonderful food, and that's all important, if you don't get adjusted, you are missing out. Absolutely. And you will have your most vital life. But I'm telling you that all of those things are just the most important thing, to care for yourself. So again, thank you for having me on this segment. I did take time out of my life because I feel that this is so important, and I love what F4CP is doing for the profession and for the world. And so thank you for having me on.
Absolutely a pleasure to have Dr. Cindy. And for all of the WDC ladies out there that are watching right now, from our heart, both of us, we love you. We want to have the very best opportunities for you to take care of yourself. For the consumers out there that get adjusted, continue with it, because now you can see it takes a lot of energy to keep up a lifestyle of goodness, meaning that getting adjusted and staying adjusted is a really critical part. I have some very exciting information that just came to us that I just got told. We want to thank you, because we're already at, and we just started. This is our first real hour of CHIROTHON, $975. So thank you out there. This is how we do it. CHIROTHON.org/MAC. So f4cp.org/MAC is the donation place. WDC ladies, love you out there. Consumers, patients, come on back. We got plenty more starting tomorrow morning. We will love to have you back. So meet me right back here tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.